Hello everyone and welcome back for the latest changes for Hunters on the Season 3 PTR. So there are mainly some tier set changes for both Dark Ranger and Sentinel, nothing for Pack Leader, and a pretty crucial Dark Ranger AoE based change. Let's get into it. So Dark Rangers are obviously, so these changes are mostly relevant for marksmanship I would say, but they also do affect Beast Mastery. It's just that they have more of an impact for marksmanship in my opinion. So number one, Bleak Powder now deals reduced damage beyond 8 targets. So Bleak Powder is the main AoE mechanic for both, for Dark Ranger for both specs. It's whenever you Black Arrow on multiple targets, they will explode for damage on multiple. Well, that now deals reduced damage beyond 8 targets, meaning they've sort of soft uncapped it. So instead of being purely uncapped, it's now soft uncapped. It'll still hit an arbitrary number of targets, but it will be for reduced damage when it hits more than 8. So this is a little bit of a nerf, but I'm not too upset about it, mainly because of the second change coming, but also consider that, the difference between fully uncapped and reduced damage beyond 8, in my opinion, is mostly fairly subtle, because even when you do sometimes have pools that are, bigger than 8 targets by a lot, most of the targets that you're adding to that are sort of relatively irrelevant cannon fodder, small yellow mobs, that kind of thing. Like if you think to any of the ones that were in this season, then yeah, for like first pool Cinderbrew, only a few of the targets were actually relevant. You had the muscles, you had the casters, and then there were a bunch of patrons that didn't really do anything except hit the tank. So yeah, not too upset about that. Second change, Bleak Powder AoE damage now auto spreads Black Arrow. So this one is actually huge because Phantom Pain is the mechanic that we have that says all of our aim shot and kill command damage now replicates part of its damage onto all targets that have Black Arrow. And this is not a split thing. So, if you do, let's say, 10 million aim shot or kill command damage, then 30% of that, 3 million, will be applied to every individual target that has Black Arrow up. It's not like split between them. So that has huge consequences. And it's not just that. So I think the reason I say it's more important for marksmanship is because marksmanship can generate a lot more aim shot raw damage on AoE than Beast Mastery can generate raw kill command damage on AoE. But there are two things at play here. So one thing is the new light ammo, or the new/old light ammo talent for marksmanship, which raises our target cap on trick shots from 6 to 8. Well, that means significantly more aim shot damage on AoE, for obvious reasons, and that means more Phantom Pain damage. And they also just straight up buffed Phantom Pain damage by like 20-25% going into the season. So it used to be the case that, like, this was always the case with Phantom Pain, right? But before, you had to manually spread around your Black Arrows to take advantage of this. And that would just kill your priority target damage, which was one of the main reasons to even play Dark Ranger in Mythic Plus in the first place. Well, now you sort of have your cake and eat it too. You auto-spread all these Black Arrows. Now your Phantom Pains are doing way more damage, 20-25%. And because your aim shots are now able to hit up to 8 targets instead of just 6, that's going to do way more damage for Phantom Pain as well. So it's just like buffs stacking on top of buffs here. And this, like, they've essentially buffed this mechanic twice with the introduction of light ammo and a baseline buff to Phantom Pain. Now they're buffing it even more by letting us auto-spread Black Arrow. So this is a huge increase, and I'm pretty excited about it. Next up are some tier set changes for Dark Ranger. So the 2-piece is now a flat 30/60 second CD reduction to Trueshot/Call of the Wild. So that means for Trueshot, with no other changes, you're getting 1 minute 30 second True Shots. And for Call of the Wild, when you're playing Beast Mastery and you're playing BM, you're getting 1 minute Call of the Wild CDs, which you could sync up with a Bloodshed, for example, essentially turning Beast Mastery from a 2-minute burst spec to a 1-minute burst spec, which is really cool. Another small thing here is, so a lot of people think this is like, it concerns 1 minute True Shots, right? Because the whole problem with 1 minute True Shot builds is the talent that you would need to achieve it, which you can achieve 1 minute CD builds for True Shot, for marksmanship, but you need to spec into calling the shots. But now, calling the shots is a choice node with unerring vision. And if you think about it, if we look at what True Shot does, so it reduces the cooldown of aim shot and rapid fire. Okay, that's cool. It also gives you 10% crit chance and 20% crit damage for 15 seconds. That's cool. What does unerring vision do? It gives you 10% crit chance and 20% crit damage. Unerring Vision makes Trueshot do everything it normally does except for the cooldown reduction all over again. It nearly doubles the damage value of Trueshot. It's one of the most powerful talents in the entire kit. And now it's a choice node. It's mutually exclusive with calling the shots, which is a 30-second cooldown reduction on Trueshot. So think about it. You can either have Trueshot 25 to 33% more often by picking calling the shots, or you can have Trueshots that are almost twice as powerful. What do you think you're going to pick? Well, what's better is 100% or 25 to 33%? My point is, I don't think calling the shots is almost ever worth running. That's the video. That's my point right there. Calling the shots is just not good enough to compete with Unreal Vision. And so even though in theory it's possible to get 1 minute true shots, I just think it's going to be such a DPS loss to grab it because you're losing so much of what makes true shot really strong, which is the stacking crit chance and crit damage, like multiplicative stacking of those two effects. So, I mean, it's not bad. It is just a neutral change in my opinion, because you could probably achieve a similar amount of CDR before. It's a little bit more guaranteed now, but that's about it. 1 minute 30 true shots instead of 2 minute ones. That is an improvement, especially in Mythic Plus. In Raid, it's going to depend on the fight timings, right? Sometimes it'll be absolutely fantastic. Sometimes it'll be completely worthless. Yeah, so I'm a little bit lukewarm on the change, but that's about it. And the 4-piece, they also buffed. They basically just doubled the value of the 4-piece. It's 50% Withering Fire damage instead of 25%. That's like a mild to moderate numbers buff to it. So yeah, not a bad thing at all. We just keep catching buffs, so that's nice. Next up is Sentinel. Only some Sentinel changes here. So the MM2-piece specifically now also buffs rapid fire damage by 25%. So they just decided it was too underpowered, and they just this is kind of just a little bit of a lazy band-aid fix. Like you're just, okay, well now just buffs an ability that does maybe 10% of your overall by 25%. Okay, we just added 2 to 3% power to it, whatever. The Survival 2-piece now also gives an additional 10% flat Wildfire Bomb damage, and they've buffed the initial damage bonus from 60% to 150% on the initial damage of Wildfire Bomb, which of course now is the majority of it. By a significant margin. So this is a huge buff to survival set bonus, especially the 60 to 150% part, so that's really nice. And the 4-piece buff, now they've given also benefits from that. So the 4-piece, and this is for both marksmanship and survival, no longer gives extra sentinel stacks. This was feedback I brought up in my last video, where extra sentinel stacks is actually a worthless concept because we're already pretty much capped on them. Instead, the 2-piece buff is now permanently active during Lunar Storm. And Lunar Storm, of course, is active, roughly 40 to 50% uptime. So basically, they buff the crap out of the 2-piece, and then the 4-piece basically makes the 2-piece have way higher uptime. So these are huge buffs to Sentinel's tier set overall. Because now you can expect your at minimum 40 to 50% effectiveness on the 2-piece. And in addition to that, you get these 2 Wildfire Bombs or aim shots that also do increase damage after Lunar Storm ends. So, you're probably looking at, 50 to 55% effectiveness in terms of how many of your aim shots / Wildfire Bombs are affected by this. And it's generally way stronger for survival than it is for marksmanship, but it's pretty nice for both. And because for marksmanship, it's around 50% aim shot damage. For survival, it's 10% plus 150% to a big part of it. That's close to a doubling of Wildfire Bomb damage. So this is a very powerful set bonus, especially for survival. That's it for the set bonus changes. And then finally, we have a small Beast Mastery nerf here. So Wild Speaker, which is the new Die Beast capstone, basically they just said, okay, it was too OP, we're going to reduce the numbers on it. The way they did that is they say, okay, the Die Beast Beastly Wrath buff that they get now has a lower duration than the normal Beastly Wrath. And this is just numbers tuning. There's not many deeper implications of it or anything. It just is what it is. Beast Mastery is still doing pretty nice numbers on the PTR right now. Some of it, I think, kind of carried by a 4-piece that's way overtuned in my estimation. But yeah, still, things are still looking really positive on the PTR, I would say. Raid testing was cancelled yesterday. Hopefully I can participate in some raid testing soon and maybe bring you some videos from that. But yeah, if you like this sort of content, then hit me up on Patreon or my Discord in the description. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.